Malakai Black. Yeah, there's been some updates about him lately. And this all started thanks to Will Ospreay, the Bruv, versus Buddy Matthews on AEW Dynamite January 8th. So, yeah, a lot of stuff happened that night. So, it was unexpectedly announced at about a day or so prior to Dynamite that we will be getting a classic slobber knocker between Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay. First time ever, man. And I was super hyped because it was like, man, oh man, this is gonna be a classic TV match. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a breakout hit for the week, no doubt. Even after Monday Night Raw on Netflix. But when I heard this match was happening, I was like, oh god. And then there was, and once again, I am reminded why I like AEW a lot, because it uses this strong continuity. Mainly because Buddy Matthews wanted this match to honor his friend Brody King, who fell to Will Ospreay during the C2 events, the Continental Classic for long-term purposes. But yeah. So I just heard this match and I was like, I gotta watch it. I gotta see this. Luckily, it would open the show, and during this time, I was at work, and there was nothing to do, and we were on break, so I got to watch the opening match, and it was uncut, uncensored, violence personified. Yeah, there was no commercials for this match, hooray. And I watched this on HBO Max. I'm still calling it that David Zaslav, you piece of you know what. But this was a match I've been wanting to see for a minute now. When Will Ospreay signed, and it was like, this is I'm surprised they didn't do this for Will Ospreay's run as international champion to get this match out of the way before he lost it to Konosuke Takeshita. Surprisingly, they didn't do that, but there might be still hope for that one day. But yeah, this match was pretty freaking good. Quality performances all around from Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay. And I'm going to be real with you all. I'm gonna be real, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were hoping for this too. I kind of wanted Buddy Matthews to win this match. It's like, he hasn't had a match since Full Gear. Sucks. Especially since the Continental Classic happened. I think he should have had a spot in that match in one of the other divisions, so Brody King can conquer one division and Buddy Matthews can try to take the other one. But I was like, I kind of want to see Buddy Matthews win this match. I had a strong, and there was moments in this match I thought that was going to be the case, that he was going to get a victory over Will Ospreay. And with how things reportedly are going, I get the feeling that might be the case soon of Buddy Matthews' future in AEW, but I'll get to that in a sec. But ultimately it went to Will Ospreay after a phenomenal performance, and Buddy Matthews show out, like, damn, he's such a phenomenal singles competitor. Like, a guy that size being that great, and especially given his past with Mustafa Ali's matches with him when he was Buddy Murphy in WWE in the cruiserweight division. And even then, people still skeptically talk about his time in the cruiserweight division on the grounds of, yeah, I don't think he's 205. But anyways, yeah. After the match, Will Ospreay cuts a promo on Buddy Matthews, talking about his abilities and how he doesn't need a guy leading him. He doesn't need Malakai Black leading him. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so when's the shadow coming out? When is the lights turning off? And when is Malakai going to beat the crap out of him? So we can get Will Ospreay versus Malakai, which will be a phenomenal match. Okay, can we get to it? Like, you don't do that teasing for nothing. No, Buddy Matthews is just shaking his hand and walking away. What the hell is going on? Yeah, and then he cut a promo afterwards saying he heard Will Ospreay and probably agrees with him. But I was really confused by that. I was like, that usually happens when they're trying to be nice to the followers of Malakai, and then it just ends up with him coming out and attacking the living crap out of the person trying to destroy the group. And that doesn't happen this time. And I was like, is there a plan here? Is Malakai and the House of Black going to show up eventually and, swear vengeance or something like that? Like, potentially going after them later in the night when Will Ospreay went to save Kenny Omega from the wrath of the Don Callis family. Like, imagine the Don Callis family and the House of Black teaming up for a brief moment before it breaks down. That would have been awesome. Nope, that doesn't happen either. And I'm genuinely confused by what was going on. And then reports came out that Malakai is on his way out. Malakai Black is leaving within a month or two at the time of this video. I heard, and there were word going around for the last year or so that he was wanting to go back to WWE because Triple H is running the show again. Because he left WWE because WWE fired him a week after he arrived, after his debut, after the whole Dark Father and all that stuff they were doing, and then they cut him out after he just returned and screwed Big E out of a match. Yeah, talk to me about that later. And then Malakai would end up having to be probably one of the top 5 debuts in AEW, toppling Cody Rhodes. And not only that, it's because of the irony involved, because it was like, wait, he was just fired 30 days ago. What the hell happened? Like, isn't he supposed to be 90 days? And then a report came out afterwards that made it even more iconic, because it turns out Malakai's contract in NXT was never altered for the no-compete clause. And and the guy who usually handles those contracts was fired months prior because trash bag care packages were a thing. And that's the problem there with what happened with Mickie James and all the other women. And apparently Gail Kim came out and said this has been going on even before her time in WWE, which should be a cause for concern. But and it turns out that so think about this. Malakai was on the main roster for about 2 years, and all that time we were still working with a no-compete clause in his contract that was still saying he's NXT. So legally, AEW couldn't be held accountable for that because WWE, in their hubris, forgot that, which says a lot about what was going on in the company at the time. And then reportedly, Buddy Murphy, before he went to AEW, was contacted by WWE saying, "Hey, Buddy, a question. Is your contract saying 90 days or 30 days?" He then looked at his contract reportedly and said, it's my 90-day no-compete clause. Oh, okay. We have false alarm then. Only to realize they probably should have read more about that. So yeah, iconic debate there, and the most gotcha moment on WWE ever did with their blatant incompetence at the time, being run by a sociopath, and sexism running rampant. But yeah, when Triple H came back and took control from Vince and TKO about everything, I had a feeling Malakai would want to go back to WWE because that was where he was doing his best work there at the time. But then things were coming out about him, about how he didn't want to put people over and how he didn't want to lose matches, so that he was relegated to tag teams for the most part. And it didn't help that he had a bunch of injuries going on at the time. Like, he had some back injuries, he had pulled muscles from time to time, so that really affected him. So he couldn't do much singles matches. I don't know how he is now, but he also was battling depression for several occasions. But yeah, and look, I defended Malakai for the whole, he got depressed, he was injured and all that. Like, there were those cases where he was attacked because they thought he just wasn't showing up to work or anything, or that he was just not there, or they thought he was trying to get back to WWE, and then he had to come out and clarify it multiple times. Now, do I think he's heading back to WWE? Definitely. AEW has pretty much said, like, we're just going to let you stay at home for the remainder of your contract, reportedly. And apparently, backstage-wise, it's been reported that apparently they're glad he's gone because of the whole allegations he didn't want to lose matches, which, yeah, I can't defend that. Like, we don't need more Hulk Hogans in the world. And I'm not talking about the racism. I'm talking about the whole politicking stuff. Because apparently Miro and Malakai were like two people that were really not in favor of putting people over unless unless it was on their terms. And that's pretty bad business on that front if you're just gonna do that. But like I was saying, like I know there's a limit to how much you can go for putting people over, but it's like if you're told put someone over and it's just someone that you work with and there's no like big problems or anything, then yeah, you should definitely be putting them over. That's just my opinion. But yeah, or if you can make a compelling argument why you feel like you should go over the other guy, but like at the end of the day, your job is to put on great matches, get your stuff over, and also put other people over when requested, when asked for it. But that's just my philosophy. Yeah, we don't need more Hulk Hogan's or John Cena's politicking things. And yet I'm still going on the whole John Cena politicked a good portion of his years during his long career at one point, next as anybody. But yeah, with this whole development, it's like, so what's going to happen with the House of Black with Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Julia Hart? Like, some people feel like they can still go as a tag team, but I kind of want to see Buddy and Brody go do their own things and get title opportunities. I do want to see them have a run with the tag titles. That would be pretty awesome. But it would be nice to see them go after singles titles. Like, I've been like hoping Buddy Matthews goes after the TNT title eventually this year, feuding with Daniel Garcia in what would no doubt be a classic matchup on pay-per-view. Let's do it. But I kind of want to see Brody King and Buddy be like, okay, we can still be a team, we can still be buddies, but we can still go do our own single stuff. And plus, we got to support Julia Hart throughout this difficult time of you know, basically having to go separate ways essentially with this whole storyline with the fall of the House of Black. Sadly, they didn't do a storyline for that to end things off. Like, they could have done Marcher will be hosting Revolution this year, and I'm just like, man, we could have had a story where we had the fall of the House of Black, where it would eventually culminate with a triple threat match between Buddy, Brody, and Malakai, and we could end the storyline right there. That'd be a good way to end things off instead of just having you're right, Ospreay, I should be on my own. Like, it's just a missed opportunity there. Like, if it was because Malakai wouldn't have put Buddy or Brody over because they were sticking around, then okay, fine, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like, come on, like, you guys are friends, like, you are real life friends. Malakai probably would have put over Buddy or Brody at the end of it, and it would have been nice. And I recall Buddy was ready to leave AEW at one point. He was ready to leave, go be with his wife Rhea Ripley in WWE, and then Tony Khan was like basically looking at him and it's like, no, you're not leaving. Well, you gotta make it worth my while then. Okay, here's a blank check. How much? You're a madman. So Buddy ended up staying, and he's still putting people over and whatnot. But I'm hoping he gets a big push for his decision to stay down the road this year. Hoping it's this year, honestly, I really do. But where does this go for Buddy, Brody, and Julia Hart? Nobody knows. The only one is Tony Khan, and even then, I don't think he knows. But we'll see. We'll definitely see down the road. But yeah, this is about all I have for this episode of NRE. NRE 10 is still going strong. This is more output content I've been putting out in a long while with this month alone. We'll see you all again next time. Oh, by the way, there's a big video in production now. And it will be out hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so. Depends on Leno's progress and how fast they can work. But now I have no deadline given, but I do want to hope I get it before Royal Rumble, because that's a fantasy booking concept on there I have for that. But we'll see. But that's about it for everybody. This is your host, Eric Brown of NRE, owner of NRE Studios and owner of NRE the Wrestlverse, headlining everything, coming to you with NRE Tank. This was your host. I'll see you all again next time. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, check out my content in the description below to for more, and I'll see you all again next time. Peace, take care, and always believe in the house of